Another mild October night in the East Midlands. The harsh chill of autumn and winter yet to hit the Premiership. But here's a contest between a couple of teams eagerly looking for some insulation in the form of victories, something to give them encouragement, a bit of warmth as we head into the second quarter of the campaign. The teams then, in confirmation of the late change to Jim Mallander's starting 15. Courtney Laws, who didn't train much this week because of a sore knee, has been replaced by Michael Patterson, who'd initially lost his place in the team to Christian Day. Day is fit for the first time this season after being frustrated by a bicep problem. Tom Wood made headlines this week, what with his recall to the England squad, and he'll be hoping for more from a bunch he accused of lacking energy and commitment in CAS last week. Lee Dixon starts at scrum half for the first time in 6 weeks. George North is playing his last before returning to the Welsh fold, and James Wilson settling himself back into the groove after horrific injury problems over the last 18 months. And he'll have his defensive hands full tonight, looking after another winger on the combat trail, who David Humphreys is relieved to have available again. Johnny May is back for club and country for the first time in 9 months and has very quickly reacquainted himself with the art of try scoring. Charlie Sharples will provide no respite for Saints defence on the other wing. Billy Twelvetrees becomes the latest to wear the Gloucester 10 shirt this season as they search for the right balance in midfield. Mark Atkinson, by the way, restored to inside centre, and Ben Morgan has been given permission to cause mayhem from number 8. He'll operate alongside Ross Moriarty, who Lawrence has been Gloucester's best player so far this season.
Yeah, clearly the return of Christian Day will be key for Northampton, but my head-to-heads are the 2-6s. Tom Wood, what a week it's been for him, talked up by Eddie Jones. He needs a captain's knock for himself, and his club need a massive performance from him, and he's against Moriarty. He's not Gloucester's captain, but you feel he's their spiritual leader, getting them on the front foot. A huge battle between the 2-6s.
And there's loads of really interesting matchups in the back lines as well. Dixon versus Laidlaw for the tempo of either side. Myler and Twelvetrees will look for territory. But if you want pure excitement, it has to be George North against Johnny May. Both have searing gas. Two different types of wingers. North incredibly powerful, able to carry a side as he has the back line for Northampton so far this season. And May, who can just score a try out of absolutely nothing.
Johnny May, who is amongst that bunch, who marks his return after 9 months out with a knee injury, with a try against Bayonne a fortnight ago, another last week against Treviso, and Northampton will be well aware of the threat posed by Johnny May. Challenge for both sides, of course, tonight, to get the win any which way they can, but if either can do it by scoring 3 tries along the way, then a little landmark they'll be able to celebrate by moving beyond 1,000 tries in the Premiership. It's a fairly exclusive club at the moment. Leicester, Wasps and Saracens, the only ones who've notched up 1K. Plenty have made the trip up to the East Midlands on a night when it doesn't seem as if it's been easy travelling anywhere in England. Gloucester's coach arrived about an hour and a half ago. 9th against 10th in the Aviva Premiership this evening. Not the feeling that either of these two would have wanted a couple of months into the season. Gloucester just 1 win so far. They've drawn more matches, including last time out in the Premiership at Sandy Park. And what of Northampton? They were hoping for a bit of a European pick-me-up. They've had mixed results. Much improved here a fortnight ago against Montpellier. Definite room for improvement after last weekend in CAS. There's actually very little between these two wins-wise down the Premiership years. Saints just lead the series, 18-17. There's been 1 draw. Tom Wood absolutely forthright after the performance in CAS. The referee is Tom Foley. Sighting officer, by the way, tonight is Bruce Rees-Russell. We don't normally mention the sighting officers, the guys who keep an extra eye on law and order. But Bruce is being shadowed tonight by Nick Wood, who's joining the list of those officers policing the law and order, and we wish Bruce and Nick all the best with his new career. No, it is the mildest of Northampton nights. No breeze to worry about. Let's settle down and enjoy two teams anxious to kick-start their Aviva Premiership seasons. Gloucester in the familiar, cherry and white. And Greg Laidlaw, the captain, already, I guess, counting down time. He's packing his bags for Claremont at the end of the season, but he knows there's a lot of work to do for club and country between now and then. Laidlaw, one of those who'll be heading off to their international side shortly. 12 trees positioned at 10 tonight, snatches that ball away. Picked up by James Wilson, back on Premiership detail for the first time this season. Again to 12 trees. First Premiership start at fly half in nearly a year, so lots of players reacquainting themselves with unfamiliar positions tonight.
Yeah, just the first kick from 12 trees. Looked like a kick from a player who hasn't played 10 all season, really. Who's just got himself caught a little bit flat and then just put the ball in a little bit too deep. Huge amount of responsibility on his shoulders to try and get the Gloucester pack on the front foot, particularly playing away from home.
Mike Hayward starting again after Dylan Hartley returned in cast. Hartley on the bench tonight, and a line-out which has been going well does not start well in this particular match. It was swept up by Hibbard and 12 trees. Mark Atkinson, who's back in midfield after playing fly half at Exeter last time out in the Premiership. And this is Charlie Sharples, already weighed in with 3 tries so far this season. Mariano Galazza, the Argentinian, up to the 22, or at least pressing just outside it, and real options here now. Johnny May stretching his legs for the first time, and the tackle needed to be made by Malander. Ball's loose. Dixon thought he could nip around and kick it away, but there'd been an offside, and Gloucester will have the penalty.
Well, it's the threat that Austin was talking about. Sharples on one wing and May on the other. Sharples just breaks a couple of tackles, gets over the advantage line, and then Galazza coming onto the ball. And really nice, here's Sharples, just breaks 1 or 2 tackles a little bit too easily. And then ball spread nicely wide to the other wing, Johnny May.
Time off, please.
And the threat that he poses as well.
Yeah, on the line.
Harry Mallon did really well there to get back, because we all know how quick May is. He had the angle on him as well. Very good defence. But Gloucester get off to their typical, really good start.
Stay on the line.
Throw for the British and Irish line, Richard Hibbard, who's started every Premiership game for Gloucester this season. It's a studied walk into the line. Galazza underneath the blue hat, and it is he who's the target. Tom Savage 4, pushing for all his worth. The ball's being smuggled back to Hibbard in the familiar fashion now this season. From the line out, it's the hooker pressing towards the try line.
Push back 9, please! Thank you. Push 2 now!
Jacob Rowan's looking interested, but he actually moves away to provide another option for Greg Laidlaw, maybe. Instead, it's Moriarty. That's been lost and it's loose, and Saints might fancy something spectacular from their own 22, or they might fancy welling it as Malander did.
Well, the driving ball comes to nothing in the end. Really solid tackle on, double tackle on Moriarty. She's got to protect the ball that close to the line. And the driving ball comes to nothing. You just get the sense that when you're playing away from home, I know they're trying to be positive, Gloucester, but with 3 points have been better off.
Again, it's Galazza, the target at the line out.
That's once.
Johnny May. Laidlaw, 12 trees. Atkinson again, strong running inside centre position. This is James Hook. Will start in 4 games at fullback for the Cherry and Whites. Hibbard. Moriarty steps over the top. Savage with the break. Held up by Pickamole. And this is Matt Scott. And again, a couple of times now in quick succession with Gloucester pressurising the try line. Handling error, and it'll be Saints' possession.
Yeah, they look good though, Gloucester. They look sharp. They're running onto the ball. I think their hands look good. They've got an energy about them that I have to say I really like at the moment. They're playing away from home. Look at that, Scott there.
So all competitions, by the way. So so Europe and the Premiership. That's Scott, who's got 4 of those in the Premiership.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily have thought of that, would you? You know, given that the start that Gloucester made, they've only won 1 game in the Premiership, but yet Scott's top of the pile there with the try scored.
First scrum.
Pretty even from those stats, isn't it? Northampton just want to secure that ball.
Sorry, misheard. Misheard. Loose head, angle. Sorry, he gave me the call.
Red loose head is Paddy McAllister.
Loose head, not square.
Up against Kieran Brooks tonight.
Yeah, he just doesn't line up square, Nick. He just gets himself turned in. The assistant referee calls the penalty.
Just looking back to that defence from Saints on the line, it was excellent. You look at Waller and Hayward there, both of them low, 3-point start. You've got to be careful now though with the new laws. You've got to get your hand behind the back foot. You can't have that 3-point start with your hand in front, but they get low and Hayward targets the ball. Really clever defence that close to the line, because we know how well Moriarty carries.
This is Louis Picamol saying goodbye to his new teammates for a while after this weekend. He's the only foreigner in Guy Novas' squad. John Arfoa showing some intent to close Dixon down, but then his mates flopped over the top.
Well, it's a shame for Gloucester because they defended that couple of sets really well. Northampton were behind the gain line considerably after the line out, but unfortunately discipline just cost the Cherry and Whites.
Tom Foley have a word in the ear of Paddy McAllister, the Ulsterman, as he wandered by, just reminding him to keep his feet square at the next scrum. Galarza nipping in ahead of Tom Wood. Second Saints line out that's gone awry. Wilson running towards this. Get under it. Moriarty can turn and gather. 12 trees. Atkinson and Scott. And then Hook inviting Sharples to pin his ears back. There's Ben Foden, restored to full back in the Premiership tonight. RC Tuala started last time out.
There's Atkinson there with the steal. Foden's got to just hold his feet a little bit longer there if he's going to take the ball in.
It's nice play from Gloucester. They get to the edge very, very quickly. Clever little kick. Then you look at the pace of Sharples, gets in front of North, which is really important because you can make that double tackle. Foden manages to get to the ground, but look at the Gloucester numbers there. Scott over the ball straight away. Does a really good job, supported by Atkinson and Sharples. It's always a worry, isn't it? We've wondered why Foden doesn't play week in, week out. He had a very good game, actually, in a losing side against Cast last week. But he has always got that inclination. His first inclination is to have a go.
Yeah, I think you call 5 and then put 7 in. One angle.
So it's been 3 years since Ben Foden last won an England cap. Greg Laidlaw's won plenty for Scotland since then. Here he is, first chance of points. He's been pretty secure off the kicking tee so far this season, but he'll have to wait for another go in this match.
He started, didn't he? 17 from 17 at the start of the season. In the last few games, he's gone right off the boil.
Yeah, I just thought he might have fancied the penalty earlier on in the game when it's off. You know, he's a right-footed kicker. I thought he would step up and take that one. This one, obviously off the other side for a right-footed kicker, just puts it across the face. This is disappointing for Northampton.
It's a head injury assessment we're hearing for Callum Clark, which, given all the issues that he's had with his shoulder over the last couple of years, might come as some relief to Saints fans that it's not a recurrence of the shoulder. Jamie Gibson on, perhaps temporarily. A lot of energy leg-wise from Charlie Sharples to win that back in midfield, but it's been lost by McAllister, and Hook has to go back, and Gibson immediately using some energy to try and pressurise the Gloucester fullback. Pickamole, who, whatever he's earning in the East Midlands this season, has been worth every penny as he's settled in here to life in the Premiership.
He's a fearsome sight on the charge, isn't he, really? Just got that knee pump going. Look at this. Just gets out the tackle, unfortunately for North. Steps his foot in touch.
And that snapped again into the arms of the Argentinian Galazza. 3 for him so far.
That's one. 20, don't change!
It's Gibson, who's in a position that Greg Laidlaw isn't entirely happy with. But he was legal, as we were told by the touch judge.
Yeah, Laidlaw's just trying to tap him there just to notify the referee, but he's come through the middle. Jamie Gibson, of course, just on for Callum Clark. He's come through the middle of the ruck, so he's able to stay there and then just collapse them all. Really good work from the flanker.
Unsuccessful.
Back row replacement tonight ordinarily. He's picked ahead of Tamana Harrison. He's adept at covering number 6 and number 7, but for the time being he's looking after 7 with Callum Clark having the HIA.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
A statistic about Alex Waller and Kieran Brooks that we're quite keen on at the moment, that
just hold your weight.
when they've been packing down together in a Northampton scrum this season, they've never lost.
Can you come up a little bit?
A ball
you come down the maximum a little bit, please.
that one of their scrum halves put in. Almost as sure as eggs is eggs, they will lose this one, but it's been a really impressive start so far for them.
Well, it has, although they gave a free kick away a little bit earlier on for an early shove. Just
Crouch! Bind! Set! Too much movement.
Malander, he does really well to find North, but the ball was forward and North will be pulled back. And the cheers are premature. It couldn't have been by much as Malander found some space and North exploited it.
Well, that looked pretty harsh to me. Let's have another look at this again.
I think he's only 2 yards forward in forward pass.
Yeah.
He's miles in front of him, isn't he? It's a nice little break and a great finish.
There we go.
It's one of those where he's tracked his run, and it's annoying really for Saints fans, because North had the ability just to check.
But better from Saints because they're actually attacking the line and distributing and offloading in the tackle as opposed to before the tackle, so a drifting side can just move off you. Really going at the midfield, make them hit you, and then our players a lot tighter. You don't always have to play with massive width. You can stand shoulder to shoulder and still break down defences.
Gloucester just four on the far side there. Got a quick free kick.
12 trees, launches it very high. Foden outside, he's 22. Hard to make sure this one isn't turned over, and it is. It's another penalty, holding on to it.
Well, that's got Billy 12 Trees out of trouble there, because it was a poor kick from 12 Trees. It was too deep, really, and the chase was superb. And again, Foden's done for not releasing. Excellent work. Scott, again, it's almost a repeat of what we saw earlier on. Penalty in exactly the same position.
On the way back.
Is Ben Foden suggesting there that the clear-out support isn't there quickly enough?
I think he's got an argument there, but he maybe should have just learned on what happened in the previous one. The kick was way too far. He had plenty of time to clear his lines. I wouldn't take the risk.
This kick just a little easier than the one he missed a few minutes ago. missed it both sides now. Missed to the left and now missed to the right. None out of 2.
Well, the radar's off, isn't it, for Greg Laidlaw, and the one guy who'll be mightily relieved will be Ben Foden, because that was 2 black marks against his name. Losing that territorial battle, trying to run it out and not kicking it away, but hasn't cost his team on the scoreboard.
Miley with the restart. George North chasing it. It's picked up by Jacob Rowan. There was accidental offside and the replay on. On by Tom Savage, and here's his second row partner in crime, Mariano Galazza. Moriarty running with real intent over Malander, who isn't small for a midfielder.
It's not small for a forward.
Scott away quickly to Hook. This is May. Savage is waiting. Went beyond him to Hibbard and 12 Trees, and John Arfoa, World Cup winner 5 years ago now with the All Blacks, 2011. 12 Trees, a little bit of sharp footwork, but he was hooked up by Patterson. Savage can go on. Extra couple of bonus meters. 12 Trees. Morgan and Atkinson to Rowan, and this is Sharples, but this time the player in front of his teammate is picked up by the referee, Tom Foley. I'll just check that this ball is
just need you to hold your weight.
Going to go into...
We've had free kick each now, you're both on the penalty. I'll speak to them as well.
That's a word about the scrum. Oz, you've been...
Well, just watching Billy 12 Trees in the first 10 minutes, I thought it was a first strange selection, actually, because he's a good inside centre, but at 10, he often makes his decisions way too early. He's got 3 forwards here, and look how confused they are. They overrun him, and he still gives the ball. He's got Atkinson out the back there, he can give the ball to. Now, you've got Hook at fullback, who is on his day, a world-class fly half, who makes decisions really late and reacts to what he sees in front of him. Why would you not play Hook at 10 and this guy at 12? Just seems a lot better option for me. You get more of a kicking control. Those long kicks, those aimless kicks that we've seen, you don't see so many of them. They've worked out with Foden counter-attacking, but Foden's not going to counter-attack every single time you kick it too long. So I'm just surprised by the selection more than anything else.
It's interesting to hear Mark Atkinson, who is at inside centre today, having played at 10 against Exeter, saying that the 2 big work-ons for them in midfield at the moment are communication and execution, and we saw it perfectly just then.
Yeah, but you need to run flat out. If your forwards are running at 50%, you get smashed behind the game line, and then you've only got one option on the next phase if you win the ball, and that's kick it.
Use it!
Have a completed scrum via Louis Pickamole. Jacob Rowan having a fish over the top, but nothing doing. And Myler, rather adeptly by Hook inside his 22. Finds row 3 of the main stand.
Yeah, really nice simple play from the Northampton number 8. Look at this, just pumps the ball a little bit there just to buy himself a little bit of time. Knows he hasn't got a huge amount of support there, and he's got a couple of Gloucester players on. Really nice play from Pickamole.
How many guys, please?
Keeping his feet, getting his side on the front foot. Look at that, chose not to offload it, but he's not bad at that either. Right up there with Billy Vunipola.
By Christian Day, first appearance of his season, 199th in the Premiership for the old Warrior.
Well, they desperately missed him, Nick. He got injured in the pre-season game, and although they lost their first 2 line-outs, a bit more shape to what's happening now.
Malander in the swerve beyond 12 Trees. Myler charged down by Atkinson. The ball is loose and Foden has it, but the ball was lost forward. Will have the scrum.
Tom, good picture at the last scrum.
Yeah, much better scrum.
Start held up by a bicep injury for Christian Day. He came through 40 minutes against Cambridge University. Second team, the Wanderers, on Monday, but 33 now. So much experience and still so much to offer.
Yeah, I think with Dylan Hartley being sort of in and out the Northampton team, really missed this guy in terms of his, not just his line-out ability, but his experience and his leadership. in that group. Desperate to get him back on the field.
Oh, Callum Clark. That does not look good. We were told he was off for a head injury assessment. All of us hope that it's not a recurrence of the shoulder injury that has dogged him for so much over the last 18 months. He looks beyond consolation at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that graphic that just popped up on the screen, 16 months out, that is a huge amount of time for any player. And when you work so hard with your rehab, get yourself back in some sort of shape to return to play, you play your second team games, you finally earn your recall. 3 weeks ago he's back on the field, desperate to play, and then less than 20 minutes into the game. Let's hope that's not really serious.
We're being told it was for a head injury that he was taken off. Whatever, Jamie Gibson's with us for the duration, but we'll obviously be chasing that up between now and the end of the evening. Meantime, Pickamole running into Moriarty. And this is Hayward. Pickamole again. And he's busy.
They're certainly lining Pickamole up. There's 3 or 4 guys every time he carries near him.
Myler. Malander is stretching the legs to find Foden. North wasn't far away. Dixon into Myler and by Patterson. North. Tackled by Atkinson.
Been really good, haven't they, Gloucester? Straight on the ball, whether it's the centres. In this case, it's Jacob Rowan that's straight in over the ball. You can't just run in ones and twos. You've got to stay on your feet a little bit longer if you're going to do that. And Saints have been guilty not backing up the ball carrier.
You can't, can you? But you can't go ones or twos. But that's one of those penalties that I really don't like. Is Rowan over the ball here? Does he have his arms on the ball or just the player? Has he got hold of the ball there?
Yeah, he's got a bit of...
No, I don't think he has. I think he's got hold of George North's waist. So he's not competing for the ball, but he makes it look like he is. It's a real tough one, that, for the referees, but it's one of those that I think you could be a bit sharper on.
It was intended for Rowan in the line out, but Northampton have it. Rowan, who's the Yorkshireman, keeping Matt Kvesic out of the starting 15 tonight. Kvesic amongst the replacements for Gloucester. Dixon to Sharples. Sharples clattered quickly by Jamie Gibson.
He's tapped his arm, he's played on. He's tapped his arm, that's fine, it's gone backwards.
There's 12 trees. And here's Moriarty. And May, he does well to escape the clutches of PC. And still going over halfway.
Tackle only.
Arfoa. Both sides having a devil of a job getting the ball back efficiently from the breakdown.
Well, I'm not sure that ball was ready to go open. I thought they could have come one more down the short side there. Just got the Northampton defence. Really nice run from May. He gets in behind, but Pickamole's lined up Arfoa there. And again, picking up on Austin's point, forwards are just a little bit unfamiliar about what lines to run outside of Billy 12trees.
A little bit of animation from the crowd for this attacking line out to come, but otherwise it's been very quiet in the Gardens for the opening quarter of the match. You just sense that the nervous energy we felt amongst the players and the coaches before the match is transferring itself to the supporters as well. They know how big a game this is.
Yeah, he's got to feel that Gloucester for the away side have been bossing the first 20 minutes.
Line out, one by Gibson. Pickamole gives it away. This is Wilson popping up in midfield. Saints will enjoy having his threat back in the van. Here's Tom Wood, captaining the side again tonight. First time they've threatened this close to the try line this evening. Flicked back by Myler on the bounce to Malander. Here's George PC. That was always going to ask a little bit too much of James Wilson, and Gloucester will have the opportunity to clear lines via the line out.
I don't know if I'm so confused by that. I mean, if I'm a coach or a player of Northampton, I'm thinking, What were we trying to achieve there?
Looks like 5.
We sent Tom Wood into the midfield by himself. He got isolated. We just won the ruck. And then all of our forwards were stood still. They were doing nothing. They were ball watching. But leaves Myler incredibly isolated with no decisions to make. And they just seem to compound an error with a next error and a next error, rather than resetting and the forwards chasing the ball.
I think it's confidence as well, Austin. You know, all you need to do is reset the ball, and what they do, they kick it away and give it straight back to Gloucester.
A lack of attacking edge that comes to Alex King's job. Cleared away under some pressure by Laidlaw as Wood was hunting him down. He was the hunted on a Friday night on BT Sport. Scotland Australia in a fortnight's time at Murrayfield. They've got Argentina as well in Edinburgh, and then a game against Georgia.
7, all in.
Being called by Christian Dake. Tom Wood the recipient.
That's fine. No, it's just a counter-up.
Day again. He was hit backwards by Moriarty, but held on to the ball, and Myler pressurised by Foden. Always a bouncy ball that's been picked up by Rowan.
Ripped!
And Saints have done well. They've done brilliantly to win that back.
Touched!
Ball was ripped back by Ben Foden, and then Gloucester knock on. I don't think this will be in the, what shall we say, top 30, 25 minutes that we've had so far this season.
Well, and that clip in particular from both sides there, really unfortunate for Rowan. He gets the ball, but he just can't bring it low enough before it's ripped away from him again from a Northampton player.
This is what we were talking about earlier, Lawrence, as Northampton get ready for a scrum. But watch the work rate from Wood. He's pretty much by himself. He gets round the corner, he's isolated, he does pretty well because he's hit with double tackles. Now look at all the forwards on the short side there, there's 4 guys. They should wrap all the way around. Watch what they do. They carry on jogging, they end up in no man's land, neither behind their 9 or behind their 10, offering absolutely nothing in terms of options. And we ask questions why Northampton can't complete in the red zone. It's because their forwards aren't working hard enough.
Yeah, when you analyse that Northampton pattern, at their very best, they've got forwards piling round the corner. In fact, they pride themselves on beating the opposition forwards round the corner.
Pick 'em all to Dixon. 8 to 9 to 15 is Foden, and 14 was to the right. But Foden fancied going on his own, and it set up a wonderful position. Closest they've been so far. Gloucester's defence on red alert. Gloucester's defence punctured.
Stuart.
Just wants to check the grounding, I think, of the ball.
Louis Pickemole was the last man to get up with the ball.
They're fairly confident Northampton they've scored the try.
This is going to be a difficult one, I think, Lawrence, whether it's
propelling himself or whether it was as a result of players driving behind him.
Absolutely.
Okay, mate.
So
okay,
whether he's
let's have a
actually
look.
moved
Understood.
himself to get the double movement, or whether the ruck has slid him through the floor. It's going to be a tough decision, this one.
Some pretty poor tackling to get him to this position. Recycled the ball here. Here's the pickup. Well, difficult from that angle. Probably need to see the other one.
This
There
will
we are.
tell us.
He's short there, and a long way short. I think it's a double movement to the try, that, unfortunately. The ruck does slide him through, but he moves with it as well. If he stays dead still and doesn't move his arms on a secondary motion, as you see now, he lands, all forward down, arms move again, it's a double motion. Double movement, it's a penalty to Gloucester.
Let's see if Stuart Terridge, our television match official, agrees.
Yes, please. Tom, we're going to have a look at them all again real time, because those are the best 3 we've got.
Good to see some
Is that
incisive
right?
running, wasn't it, from Foden at fullback. Good footwork, got through. Johnny made it incredibly well to get back and make the tackle, and then you just think they've stopped him. And I think Gloucester probably have.
Yeah. See, there the tackle is complete.
It's his left shoulder comes through as he moves forward. That's where the double movement occurs, and that's why it's not a try.
Tom, this is Stu.
Okay, yes, Stuart.
I've got a decision for you.
Okay, yeah, you tell me what you think.
So,
Clive.
angle 2, yeah,
Yep.
shows the man goes to ground and then he propels himself to the line.
Can I just see that angle once more then, please?
Yes,
I
please.
just want to check that. I just want to check whether it's as a result of the 14 green joining behind him.
Of course, understood.
Just seeing if the momentum has come from the right wing of Northampton to get him over the line. We think not.
You're allowed, once you tackle, to reach out immediately if you do it immediately and put the ball over the line.
I don't see any clear propulsion forward. For me, I'm happy to award the try.
OK, Tom, if you're satisfied with that.
OK, thank you.
Well, he hasn't got much wrong this evening, Tom Foley, but he's got that one wrong.
However, it'll be a popular decision in these parts. You wait for the roar. Louis Picamol leaves a decent leaving present as he heads back to his home country temporarily for the Autumn Internationals. He's heading off with a try. Oh, that's a significant conversion from Stephen Myler. Takes him to 1,500 Premiership points. And look at those ahead of him. You've got to be good to be ahead of Stephen Myler. He's up to 1,500 now. A lot of change, by the way, in the Saints' back row. Api Ratuni-Urawa, the new Fijian, has come on to replace Jamie Gibson, who's gone off for a head injury assessment, who came on to permanently replace Callum Clark, who went off having failed one. So, 2 problems for Northampton in the pack numbers-wise, but they've eked out a penalty there.
Yeah, it's a good little drive.
You do that.
She's got that confidence from the score. Suddenly the crowd are behind them. You just feel a little bit of pressure just been relieved, because for most of that first 20 minutes it was Gloucester, but it's Northampton who are up and running now.
Mallander's kick, and Austin has been having another look at the try.
Well, I'd love to see a blindside executed, and it's all about just getting half a yard. You watch Ross Moriarty's feet, they just slip ever so slightly, which gives half a yard to Dixon. That then isolates 12 trees. Foden capitalises, and you get a winger in 2 minds. May does incredibly well to turn and get back and make the tackle, but just that half yard is all you need on a short side, and if it's done properly, you can do it every single time. You need a steady scrum and a number 8 who's happy to pass.
We'll get Lawrence's thoughts on that in a moment, but didn't take long for the Docs to decide that there's nothing wrong with Jamie Gibson. He's back on, and Api Ratuni-Urawa is off to call his engines. Lol, on that Austin point.
Well, just when your scrum's in slight reverse, you've got to recognise that as a blindside. You've got to get yourself off early. I mean, you know, you've got to cheat a little bit and just, you know, disengage your binding and get off early. And just felt on the try, Laidlaw could have been a little bit stronger in the tackle there and actually made one.
Pick them all again. He's been an industrious French beaver in the first, half an hour of this match. And
you're on the floor, you can't.
Definite big momentum swing, isn't there? It's just all of a sudden that try, penalty off the kickoff, another penalty now, shot at goal.
It's interesting to hear Robin McBride talking about how Wales might employ Moriarty over the next few weeks, test match-wise. No Talupe Falatown. I think they're looking at him as a possible starter at 8 in the Wales shirt.
I should imagine they employ him running around smashing anything that he sees, because he's particularly good at that. But Northampton brought themselves back into this game by playing very basic rugby. 8-9, break by your 15, be direct. It almost seems like it's very easy to fix, isn't it?
been a very good 5 minutes for the hosts. Northampton lead by 10 points to 0. First of 3 live Aviva Premiership games on BT Sport this weekend, as always. Allianz Park tomorrow for Saracens against Leicester at 3 o'clock. Quins against Worcester as well, the other match tomorrow. And then 3 games on Sunday. Wasps against Newcastle, Bristol against Sale, and Exeter against Bath. All of them will be rounded up in the highlights at the end of the weekend. We're at Sandy Park on Sunday afternoon. Rugby Tonight Extra next Wednesday as ever. Morgan beaten by the bouncing ball, as was Hook. Ball was in the air a long time, and Malander with 12 trees and the half charge down. Malander gathers the ball, picked up by Myler, finds Dixon, who has Foden on hand. Tackle by Galarza. It was Hayward who took it through. Malander again. Still no Luther Burrell, by the way. He's still recovering from the bash to the head that he suffered against Brad Barrett a while back now. Very careful as he returns from concussion. Myler clips it up for Wilson to chase after. Hook was there.
You're not on the ball, keep it release!
The warning had been given by Tom Foley.
Well spotted by Foley. I was saying it before, sometimes they make it appear that they're going for the ball, but you're just holding onto the hips of the player.
Yeah, he actually said you're not on the ball. Gave him an opportunity to release it, but you're never going to do that when you feel like you've got it. But
just for information, 1 red is down in backfield.
Let's have another look at this. Does really well, Hooker initially. And there you are. He's actually wrapped around the body. Exactly right, Austin.
I think you can argue that it was a penalty anyway for the challenge in the air on Hook.
Well, it'll be Gloucester's line-out, but they've got a little bit of an issue here because Paddy McAllister is down injured. He would ordinarily be one of the lifters, Lawrence, and you'll have been in this position before as a player. Your options at the line-out therefore reduced with him down.
Yeah, you might just want to cut the numbers. The referee's obviously asking you to play, so you cut the numbers possibly, then you take away some of the more traditional lifting roles, give it to the back row.
The Osman, who was the man of the match in Europe last weekend against Treviso. I remember as well he had the ignominy of being replaced after just 20 minutes here last season when the scrum wasn't going quite as well as it's going tonight. Anyway, he's back on his feet and he'll be contemplating some heavy lifting.
Yeah, referee's been quite lenient there, isn't he? He's allowed them time to get McAllister back to his feet. Normally refs just wave you on, say come on, let's get on with the game.
Okay.
Rugby's about teams within teams, isn't it? And we'll
Six man.
see where McAllister goes and see who he's likely to be shifting in the air. It looks like it might be Galarza. Jacob Rowan's there as well.
Wait. If you continue to shout, you'll be penalised. Do you understand? Keep the voice down.
Let's go, boys.
No,
To Mike Haywood.
He's just putting his arms up without shouting now.
And McAllister does do the lifting to get some South American beef off the floor. This is John Arfoa providing the pass, the other Gloucester prop tonight. Laidlaw spins it out to 12 trees. Delayed the pass so much so that he held on to it. There's Johnny May. To the Algarve with England on Sunday. And the penalty goes against the try scorer, Louis Pickham.
He's doing it immediately.
Yeah, you've got to play the ball immediately. He wasn't able to do that.
Shot called.
Another opportunity. Just see, Hayward comes in with the tackle. Louis Pickham's initially there. He throws himself over the top. If you can do it all in one movement, you get away with it. The referee will let you play that.
Marlon Yard and Samisa Rockadaguni are the other wing options for Eddie Jones. Fairly short odds on Johnny May starting, Austin.
Well, he's the only left winger. The other two play on the right. I'm going to tell you, it's difficult to move from right wing to left wing. Even more difficult if you do it mid-game.
I think his ability just to score out of nothing, which we've seen for England and for Gloucester, and his work rate is exceptional.
I think it's
compared to the other two. His communication, his work rate.
Missed the first two, but not the third. Just to get the scoreboard rolling into the final 10 minutes of the first half. Northampton 10, Gloucester 3. Greg Laidlaw's penalty.
Having turned down the opportunity to kick one at goal early on in the game and then missed two, you feel that Gloucester needed to get up and running in that set, and they are now 3 points.
The ball was lost by Mark Atkinson, so this is with the advantage as Kieran Brooks goes rolling forward, but the advantage didn't last long. One of those left out of England's 33-man squad. Dan Cole and Kyle Sinclair are the two tight heads.
Just simple, basic mistakes. As soon as you score, you just got to just get the ball back, and fortunately, he's targeted there. Atkinson's targeted well. Forces the knock-on. What can Northampton do from this just before half-time?
Won all 4 of their scrums so far. And they win another, and they win a penalty. No question that Alex Waller enjoyed that.
Number 1. A big grin on his face, bang in front of the sticks. Just stayed square, didn't he?
You can move backwards. Yeah, the marking's here.
Talk a lot about Alex Waller's durability. His busiest ever Saints forward in the history of the Premiership now, 134th game, which is impressive. He's overtaken Grant Seeley, but the most impressive, and every time you look at it, it becomes more impressive. That number. As a loose head prop, Lawrence, to play 123 games in a row.
It's quite extraordinary. I mean, in terms of his durability, in terms of his longevity. I mean, I suppose if you talk to him personally, he'd argue that he'd rather not have that statistic, because he'd rather it be broken up with international appearances as well. And when you look at the quality of what's above him, Vunipola particularly playing outstandingly well, you know, what Waller does is the same things over and over again, but he needs to do a little bit more to force his way into that England setup.
Yeah, England's loose heads in this week's squad: Vunipola, Marler and Ellis Genge. Greg Laidlaw's penalty very swiftly tip-exed out by Stephen Myler, and Saints restore a 10-point lead.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned if I was David Humphreys. You know, they've had lots of possession, Gloucester, and they've had lots of ball, but unfortunately it's not been in the area where they can do the damage down the Northampton 22.
That's Wilson's clearing kick. Hook goes aerial. Wilson scuttling round to get underneath this again, and he slightly overran that, it seemed. And the ball's been lost forward, and Gloucester with a big advantage here. Northampton trying to reorganise the defence. Hibbard. Taken on by Arfoa. 33 now. And again, the representation of the ball once it hits the floor and once the breakdown forms.
Well, Northampton have taken that quickly after Mike Hayward forced the turnover. I just feel, for me, when guys are carrying the ball to the line as a forward, you need a little bit of footwork, or you need a little bit more than what we're seeing from both sides, actually. If you go to floor that early, just make it so easy for the next guy coming in this case Hayward, just to get his hands over the ball. A little bit of footwork, a little bit of trickery where they tip it on.
I think they just fall on the floor as well. You want to get an extra roll in there. If you find yourself beyond the first tackler and at the feet of a competitor, roll into his feet, make it hard for the hands.
Gibson to Dixon to Myler to Pickamole, who runs into 12 trees. Decent central field position. Here goes Wood again, who provided the tackle that provided the turnover that's provided this opportunity for Malander and Foden, and now North. He's got Gibson to the left. 12 trees. Tackle needed to be correct. Still though the pressure. Myler. And this is Alex Waller. Tom Wood. The gathering Saints score as we approach half-time. Foden again, who's looked dangerous in the attacking 22. Here goes Wilson. How he would love to cap his return to the Premiership with something special. Patterson took ball and man simultaneously. Picked up by Malander. PC to North. Not a great deal of room, but he had more than enough strength and weight to get beyond Laidlaw. Cries of offside in the main stand here at the Gardens. Foe with the tackle. Myler. And again, Day. Gibson over the top to provide some protection. Malander once more. It's a kick into space, but there aren't many green Saint shirts around it. And in the end, it was a little too comfortable for Laidlaw just to dab down and drop out 22.
Yeah, it's not great structure and shape from Northampton. They just kept getting pushed back further and further as Gloucester take the quick one.
Some ambition with May. He's wove his way up to halfway. Oh, and then Tom Wood was in there again. There was no support as May was tackled, and scrum half up to the 10-metre line. Flicked up by Hayward. Myler lashes it back to Foden. Foden chips over the top looking for North, and Sharples needed to be alert. Ball was lost on, and a rather scrappy passage of play draws to an end. A rather scrappy first 40 minutes. The highlight without question, Louis Picamol's try, the only try of the first 40, and that has Northampton ahead by 13 points to 3. Gloucester are to kick off at the start of the second half as they kicked off the first. No changes to their starting 15, so Billy 12 trees at fly half. Saints the one enforced change in that opening quarter. Callum Clark off after failing a head injury assessment, and replaced by Jamie Gibson. Saints reminder have Dylan Hartley amongst those on the bench. Gloucester with Matt Kvesic looking to influence affairs as this second half wears on.
Use it!
Gibson starting scrum half. Tom Kessel on the bench for Northampton tonight.
Just use the end of the line. Go, step off.
Start for 6 weeks. First stiff competition from Nick Groom this season. Start of his campaign interrupted by a sore groin, but he's off and running from the off tonight. This was Ben Morgan.
No!
Weighed in with a short-range try. Sandy Park last time out in the Premiership 3 weeks ago. Hibbard. 12 trees. Atkinson providing the link to Hook.
Not held.
This is Jacob Rowan. Began to make a name for himself with Stuart Lancaster's Leeds. Kicked away by one second row to another. Galarza to Savage.
Well, it's been something that we're seeing an awful lot of during the game. Really soft hands from the 2 second rows in quite heavy traffic, but it's that man Picamol's. You've got to hold your feet, you've got to keep driving, and unfortunately the support's not there straight away nowadays. He's having a nice impact in the game, Picamol's. He's got the try a couple of times. He's making a nuisance of himself at the breakdown. Let's have a look at this. Takes it right to the line. 12 trees, really nice soft hands, but unfortunately the support just doesn't do the clear-out job, and Picamol's is able to come in over the top. You almost got to wait for the players to come in and identify them.
7.
You see Scott Berger doing that lot for Saracens, but he doesn't get tackled, he doesn't end up on the floor, so he can get to the next breakdown and clear out really quickly.
That's once.
And that was gathered in by Gibson very quickly into the arms of Hayward, and now Dixon looks interested, but Savage is all over him, so he has to smuggle it back to Wilson, who finds Malander. 12 trees in with a hit, but presented neatly back by the centre, son of the boss. Hayward burrows underneath the tackle. Myler, Malander, and Gibson, who did very well. Ball and spin away from the interested Johnny May. Tom Wood. Dixon. Not really chasing this with any intent.
Lost the weight.
Result, Hook can clear, not particularly prettily, and the bouncing ball into the arms of Wilson. First Premiership appearance of the season for him. This is Wood. The headlines this week, the return to Eddie Jones' England squad. Malander inside, and then Foden, who's looked as likely as anyone with the ball going forward, but was no way through there, running directly into John Arfoa. And the bounce of the ball is a pleasant one from a Northampton perspective.
It's a nice option from Stephen Marlowe. Foden unceremoniously dumped backwards behind the gain line and had no real options, and that's exactly what the forward pack want. Harry Malander just rather telegraphed that pass back in. Look at that. Nothing else to do. Really accurate kick. Just keeps his side marching forward. We gave him a bit of stick before the game, saying he has to really deliver Stephen Marlowe and direct his side. He's certainly doing it with points on the board and kicks out of hand like that.
Snatched down by Moriarty, but it wasn't clean. And it wasn't clean because Northampton were closing the gap.
Yeah, just the free kick, so this one will probably go up in the air from Billy Twelvetrees. Oh, no, he decides to put it into touch, which slightly bemusing for me, because just hands the ball straight back to Northampton.
I don't know whether he was caught out by the speed of the chase, but
the same applies to you guys as well.
I can imagine that's what was at the top of
Billy
Twelvetrees' mind when he first set out.
That's poor. You know, pump it as high as you can in the air, as far as you can, and get your best chasers competing for the ball.
Picking all at the front of the line-out, but it went over the head of Wood and was picked up by Hibbard, and Morgan bustles his way up to the 10-metre line. 3 line-outs Northampton have spilt now. Atkinson to Scott, who was tailed by PC. Gloucester, held up by Christian Day. First appearance of Christian Day's season.
Everybody missed the play-off.
It's picked up by Twelvetrees, and here goes Morgan. Bouncing ball causing problems. And, Ben Foden's down injured, so Northampton without a fullback, and gap starting to open up, and Rowan stretching and scoring. Saints shorn of their last line of defence, and Gloucester and Jacob Rowan making absolute capital from it. His first Premiership try to bring them back into this contest.
Well, it all started from the box kick from Laidlaw. Look at this. It's a bit of indecision in the ranks. George North doesn't get it, Foden doesn't claim it, and then Billy Twelvetrees in behind. Ben Morgan, ball's recycled nice and quickly, and look at it, just opens up. Lovely little step back on the inside, and then they find Jacob Rowan on the outside, and to be fair, it's exactly what Gloucester needed.
It's great footwork from Atkinson, wasn't it? That experience of being that first receiver, playing 10 for the last few weeks. Steps PC in a phone box, and but then the really clever thing is he doesn't go for the line himself and get isolated. He goes wide and breaks to the channel. It's a really good finish outside by Rowan, wasn't it?
Statistical landmarks to note. That try from Jacob Rowan taking Gloucester beyond 10,000 Premiership points. Leicester, Wasps, Saracens, and now Gloucester in the 10K club because of that, Austin.
Great footwork, but the footwork was helped because Hook worked from the backfield to the outside shoulder of Atkinson, just took his eyes off him, PC, overran the tackle.
Well, I just think, Austin, when you've been busted in behind, as Morgan had done there, you've got to do a really slow drift. You can't afford to press and push hard, which is what PC did and got stepped. It's one of those things you get taught defensively. If you're busted, just a nice simple drift.
The silver lining for Northampton is that they haven't lost their fullback long term. Ben Foden's back on his feet, but he was missing critically for the concession of that score. Galazza backpedaling under some pressure from Michael Patterson. Gathers in. Patterson, by the way, whistled off the bench when Courtney Laws, who was initially due to start, cried off with a knee injury. Not sure of the extent of Laws' knee injury, whether it puts a question mark over his England involvement over the next month or so. I think that's the reason that Patterson's playing.
Yeah, I think talking to some of the guys at Northampton, he's been able to take very little part in training this week, Courtney Laws, so it's one of those decisions that ideally they'd love to play him. I'm sure he wants to play, given the second row situation with England, get some game time under his belt, but unable to take part in a huge amount of training, so politely withdrawn at the moment.
Let's go, Saints, please.
Well, Mike Hayward before this evening had only lost 4 line-outs all season. And he's lost 3 so far tonight. Picking out Gibson. Savage bringing back the scrum half illegally.
Do you think when the referee shouts 4,
on the outside, he's not banged in?
He might have actually listened instead of then grabbing the scrum half and confirming the penalty.
I know you can't tackle the 9 or attempt to play the 9, but did Dixon break away from the base there? Is then the maul over?
Yeah, you're fine.
Has the maul been completed?
I think the penalty was just for being offside in the first place, and therefore he's shouted, "You're not there legally," and that just compounds it.
It is right in front of the ref, isn't it? Very difficult to be inconspicuous when you're 20 stone and 6'8" and you're only 4 yards away from the man with the whistle. Unless, of course, you're wearing a black shirt and playing for the All Blacks. Then you get away with anything.
The politics there. And there's Austin Healy. Dixon. Mallon. Being held on to by 12 Trees, who was tackled hard at fly half tonight. Wood again. This time it's Hibbard with the flying blonde locks. It's the game line that they left behind, and it draws them a penalty.
Yeah, he's been a willing worker and carrier. Austin's been talking about the Northampton Saints forwards trying to get to the far side. Wood's been the one that's put that shift in. It's probably the reason why Eddie Jones is starting to really look at him, because he knows that he can rely on that work rate, which is obviously what you need at international level. He's useful in the line out as well. He's got that experience. You know, we've been talking about possibly the likes of Guy Thompson or Wass or Jackson Ray at Saracens, given the injuries, but this is the guy that Eddie Jones has been talking about this week.
Samson. Ever since he grew his hair, apparently, he's not distinctly average anymore, which was the phrase used at the start of the year.
It's just amazing how international rugby can change, isn't it? You know, he probably thought his England career was over. You know, never seemingly out of Eddie Jones's squad, no opportunities, not even been discussed, and then suddenly out of nowhere, 2 or 3 injuries, and he's right back in the picture.
Saints were establishing a 6-point lead. And the night that they've moved beyond.
It's an important match for both of these sides, not just because of their league position, but it's kind of the end of phase 1, isn't it, in terms of the Premiership, and moved across to a different tournament. A lot of players leaving. You want to go out on a high and finish this little series of matches off with a decent result for both teams.
Use it!
That ball needs some protecting. And the cheers are Gloucester cheers. Legal counter-ruck. And the applause for Paddy McAllister.
Counter-ruck is legal, the ball hasn't been used.
Yeah, it's perfectly legal. He's well within his rights to do that. You've got to say, Northampton, Dixon's throwing his hands in the air in frustration. But you've got to get blockers in there. You've got to get people protecting, and their body positions have got to be lower to stop that counter drive.
Crouch! Bind!
Little moments like that can sometimes reignite you, sometimes get you going again, and Gloucester will have another opportunity from that scrum, and the frustration writ large on Northampton faces right now.
Come across, come across.
It's just getting a little bit tasty in that scrum. They have quite a few resets tonight. 4 resets of scrum. We've had a couple of free kicks, we've had a couple of penalties. It's been a bit scrappy, and there's no real reason for that.
4 reset scrums.
2 ones that were completed. Pickermall broke 20 yards from his own 22, and Northampton scored a try.
Hands on the floor.
I was about to say, if I'm Ben Morgan right now and I'm playing in this match and I've seen my opposite number pick the ball up from the base a couple of times and start to impact on the game, as Austin said, through a try, I want to start getting myself in the game. He's got a penalty for his team instead.
Gloucester fans will hope all of those players linked with moves away from Kingsholm in the press at the moment don't actually follow the moves through, but you believe the columnists, then he'll either be playing for Exeter or Leicester next season.
Yeah, it's worrying times, isn't it? I mean, Kovacic allegedly signed heads of terms with Exeter already. Laidlaw, you know, already announced as going off to Claremont. It's games like this that Gloucester need to win to perhaps persuade some of those players, persuade some of the agents of those players that Gloucester and Kingsholm is the place where they should play their rugby next season.
Just enough. Right smile on his face, and deficit reduced again to 3.
And as this game goes on, Nick, Northampton crowd will get progressively more nervous, more twitchy, just like the 2 Gloucester fans in front of us that told Lawrence to be quiet and stop doing his job as a commentator in the build-up to Laidlaw's kick.
Me, take abuse from Gloucester fans? Never.
Atkinson grows highest, but he didn't gather it. And Brooks to Patterson. Haywood. Myler's ready. And Day's accelerating onto it with some help from Gibson.
Leave it!
Malander, Pickermole. It's try scorer. Managed to smuggle that over the left shoulder to Patterson nicely. Kieran Brooks once more. Myler, Gibson, once again into a cherry and white soup. Pickermole.
All backwards.
Haywood under some pressure, but no lasting damage done beyond the concession of a few metres. Malander under a bit of pressure now.
Just look at that gain line. Well, we just saw it briefly at the top of the picture. Northampton well and truly put back. Will go to boot now.
Oh, brilliantly taken on the 3rd man boundary.
Oh, what a fantastic follow-up kick as well from Laidlaw.
North. Has he overcharged that? There's the answer.
He has, but Malander's in the midfield. He's taken a big knock. I'm just not so sure how Afoa came into this ruck. He comes into it very late.
Thanks, Steve.
Time's off, guys, got an injury.
Maybe it's a swing in the tackle. Gets his leg trapped. Does not look good.
Looks in a bit of pain, doesn't he?
All he's doing is putting his arse to the floor.
Okay, well,
there's nothing I can do there.
Okay,
It's the ankle.
Okay, well, I thought you came short.
They're looking
on that
at.
one, but I'll have a look.
Be very concerned.
Alan Dickens on the left-hand side, who's doing a bit of overtime at the moment. He's acting as the attack coach as well. In the absence now of Alex King, been looking after the defence for a long time. Now, what can we see from this? It's that left ankle that gets caught underneath him as he falls.
Not a good position to be in, especially with someone like Hibbard swinging his legs under. No, that's bad.
Oh, no.
That's not good.
There's the man he's filling in for tonight. Luther Burrell, still making his way back from concussion, sitting amongst the supporters.
I've had one, thanks. Okay, Kieran, there's your mark.
Thrilled as they are to have him amongst them. I'm sure that they will much rather have him down on the pitch before too long.
Well, it's good to see Harry Mallender up on his feet.
I saw it differently.
He's going to try, is he, to run it off. Looks in a lot of pain still. He's going to try and run it off. Good lad. That looks a lot worse. Well done.
Well, that's the agility of youth, Oz, because how the ligaments survive that is anybody's guess.
Oh, I missed those ligaments, Nick. But as we see that, on comes the England captain.
Guys, just step off me.
Hartley on, Hayward off. Morgan accelerating again. Afoa. Oh. 12 trees. Oh, that was nicely done. And this is Scott. Atkinson.
No! 30!
Having to help with the clear out. George Peacey has to give it up. Neatly away by Gloucester, and again it's Scott. Second time pressing on the doorbell. Moriarty. 12 trees spinning away to the right. He's got Rowan beyond him, and it's picked up by Sharples. Oh, that is brilliant. That is sharp, and that's a second Gloucester try.
That is a great piece of finishing from Charlie Sharples. Wonderful play, probably the best passage of play that Gloucester have put together. Wonderful from Atkinson on the far side of the field, and then the wave of runners. Moriarty first, quick ball again. You thought that for all money that they'd use the space. Look at that, just times his run perfectly. It's actually Scott that makes that break, and then look at this, Billy Tweltrees didn't necessarily need to throw the miss, but what a finish from Sharples. Rides the tackle, and then he's got the strength to get up again and dot it over the line.
Fourth try of the season. Oz.
It's all brilliant play, but you've got to attack an injured player. There's Mallender in the midfield. Watch how he comes forward to Atkinson. Can't quite get to the inside to make the tackle. Look at him struggling, limping. That's where they make the break. They go through, and then they capitalise out wide.
Conversion is an excellent one. And for the first time in the match, the visitors, Gloucester, are ahead after a moment of magic from Charlie Sharples.
Well, that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to finish, and he keeps his feet up in the air. Just begs the question with Mallender, because we don't have rolling substitutions in rugby union. A player can't get a couple of minutes just to find out if he's okay to carry on. Clearly he wasn't all right to carry on, should have been removed, but it's just one of those things that either a player is taken out the fray or he's not, and that cost Northampton Saints a try on that occasion.
Restart wasn't controlled by Gloucester. News of that Saints change, not that one. Kieran Brooks, however, has been replaced by Paul Hill, but at the bottom Jim Mallender is off. He's replaced by Rory Hutchinson, and Wood lays it back. North takes it on. Saints having to come from behind for the first time in this match as we approach the final quarter. Myler, well, that might sit up for Wood.
Wait 10, Billy!
Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't.
Under some pressure by Laidlaw, and tough 5 minutes for young Harry Mallender. Rory Hutchinson. Saw him score, trying his Premiership debut here against the Chiefs back end of last month. Brilliantly engineered by George North, you might remember that one. Something similar now. Taken by Tom Wood.
That's once! Lead!
Can they get it going again, Northampton?
North. This is happy Watuni Urawa. So make a brief appearance in the first half. The Fijian, who was busying himself with the World Cup this time last year.
Release right now, on feet!
PC. Just isn't knitting together at the moment for Northampton. They've had half a dozen visits now to the 22, the old red zone. Just the one try to show for it so far. Now here's Foden. Oh, that's really nice. And this is Hutchinson. Surely not again. Oh, he's going through. And the big tackle coming in from Hibbard, and it needed to be a big one. But the door is ajar.
Play on at the green foot.
Saints once more with Ratuni Urawa.
Battering away, aren't they?
Wilson to the left, but they go to the right. Myler. A dozen phases. George North. Will think they really ought to have scored by now, but the opportunity might yet present itself for Wilson and co. Hill's there. This is Pickamoles. Lays it back, and it needs to be controlled by Dixon.
They're there, they can't do anything about it.
Well, you have to feel that, what was that, 13, 14 phases, Northampton battering away. They had a chance. Did they butcher it on this left-hand side? You felt there was a chance to get the pass away to George North to score in the corner.
I'll tell you what, one person who can take a bow is Hibbard. His work rate's phenomenal. He gets checked in the midfield, but then watch it, that's a front row. 62 minutes into the game, he gets all the way back to make a try-saving tackle. Absolutely brilliant. He'd already made a tackle in the midfield, got back to his feet, bounced up. He's been everywhere. Maybe you just see him a bit more because the blonde locks are flowing and they're all over the place, but he's made some tackles and some hits tonight. And that front five of Gloucester, they've had some experience in the second half, Nick. They got 3 of the top 5 tacklers in the league. And you can see why.
They've got a little bit more defending to do now.
This is Tom Kessel. He's 26. He's had to be patient to get his go in the Premiership. He's bided his time in the Championship with Bristol and the Cornish Pirates. And again, you might remember him being a real spark of light off the bench against Wasps. He scored a try as well. And again, another replacement who will be keen to try and turn the tide here. Saints 4 points down.
Both overleaning.
These scrums are a little bit of a mess, Alex Corbisiero, who's watching this with us down on the touchline. What are you picking up? What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Charlie Monty!
Sink! Crouch! Bind! Sit!
Well, that one worked better. Thanks, Alex.
Wow, what a moment for Gloucester. Look at that, that is a side, that's a momentum turner for me. They just defended 13 phases, Hibbard and co. And then they apply the pressure. Just to remind you, they were 13-3 down at half-time. They've really turned this game around, 20 points to 16. And they've just gone through a massive defensive set and earned their side a scrum.
Jim Mallender and the coaching team have made half a dozen replacements up to this point, which is not unusual. What is unusual is that David Humphreys and the Gloucester bunch have made none to this point. However, he might be on his way.
It's a few prowling on the touchline.
They've got Cameron Orr, young Australian Loosehead, who's readying himself.
Interested to see now what Billy Twelvetrees does. They've got a free kick. Does he put it up in the air? No, he's happy to go to touch. I suppose in this situation where you've been defending for a large period of the game, you can understand that.
Time off. 1 and 6. 1 and 6.
Here comes Cameron Orr, 21-year-old Australian, pitched up this season from the Greater Sydney Rams. And somebody who won't need quite so much of an introduction, Matt Kvesic. Century of Premiership games for the club last month.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's replaced Ross Moriarty, and I think that's really nothing against Moriarty. I think it's just the tip of the hat to Jacob Rowan, who's been very effective in this game, scored a try and been a real nuisance over the breakdown, and probably feels that Gloucester are going to be doing a fair bit of defending in this last 15 minutes.
Between a euro hour. He's not in considerable bulk. Gibson has been with us for much of the match after a head injury to Callum Clark. Day, this is North.
Intercepted, just the ball.
Just threw that one-handed, didn't he? But turned it back over.
So Saints possession with Gibson again, and Myler, and Hartley
no
not used. PC drives it on, resets.
Didn't survive the clear out.
Myler again, Kessel.
We'll check for no arms tackle there, please, Stuart, by 7 red.
And Hartley takes the hit. 7 red is Jacob Rowan. And Stuart Terridge just losing back on our video replay right now. Here's Paul Hill. Pick 'em all again.
Well, thank you. Wait, for Gloucester,
Through by
wait!
Hutchinson. You'll have heard Stuart Terridge that tell us there was no problem with Rowan's tackle.
Inside. Saints, 2.
Great positional play from Hook, took the ball on the full. Might see a bit of kick tennis for a while here now, Nick, unless Sharples can gather this.
Wilson flings it on to Myler, just opens up this left-hand side of the field, which North will exploit. Oh, what a tackle from Morgan. That was a runaway train that he was hitching himself onto. Myler, Hill, second time of asking.
No, he's not on the ball,
over that Tockley. And the intervention of Orr and Co forcing the penalty.
That looked like the Gloucester player had actually fallen over the top. I've put all money on the fact referee was going to blow a penalty against.
Just as they go wider, you think it's on to go around the outside. What a tackle from Morgan on the inside against George North. If he gets away there, no one's stopping him. And then as they come to the breakdown, you see the tackle again. Afoa looks to me like he goes off his feet over the top, counter-rucking. And that looks like a penalty to Northampton. See Afoa, he counter-rucks, he goes all the way off the top. He's no longer on his feet anymore, not unless his head is one of his feet.
Tell you what, you've got to give credit to Gloucester, the way that they've defended. I think their line speed in the middle of the park's been excellent. They've identified Myler, put a lot of pressure in and around him. I think their scramble defence when Northampton have got in behind them has been superb, and you know, considering they're away from home, it's been a really tenacious performance.
Waller replaced by Waller.
Time on, please.
Giving up for Ethan.
Bind!
Ethan Waller's first job to rattle horns with a World Cup winner, John Ofoa. But the problems are on the other side from Gloucester's point of view.
Yeah, just as Alex Corbuziero was talking about, no one settling down. Referee very keen just to blow up and happy to give penalties or free kicks either side.
3 o'clock tomorrow. We're at Allianz Park. Saracens against Leicester on BT Sport 2, 4K UHD. And then on Saturday evening, the highlights ahead of a very busy Sunday. Exeter against Bath. One of 3 games, and that's our featured one down at Sandy Park. Picked up by Paul Hill. And Hart is there as well. North. Penalties coming. There was a bit of leg lifting in that maul.
Fantastic line speed and tackle.
Pickemole. Oh, he's got the ball away nicely to Kessel, who's tiptoeing his way through until he was stopped once more, 7 or 8 metres short by Savage. So they'll come back for the penalty.
This will probably go to the corner again. How many offloads has Pickemole's got away? No wonder he's top of the charts. He's had about 4 or 5 in this game alone. Just in that tight corridor and space, he just seems to find that little offload all the time.
13 before tonight, Lawrence. Pickemole level with Billy Vunipola. He takes on some workload, doesn't he?
They said you need one as well. Time is off.
There we go, that's tonight, 7. That is unbelievable. That's half of what he's done all season in one night. And a try, which we should remind everyone of.
It's heavy wear and tear for Gloucester. Tom Savage, Premiership's top tackler of the first half a dozen matches. 76 leading into tonight. I can tell you how many he has made tonight. He's made 10 tonight, so he's up to 86 now in total.
Time on, please.
Yeah, whole of the tight 5 getting through a big shift for Gloucester. Got a bit of work to do now.
Gathered in by Gibson. Pickemole once more. Peeling off, looking dangerous and setting up the try. Confirmation from the officials that Tom Kessel got there. And Kessel once again, international rescue off the bench. Once again, the replacement scrum half scores a try that has Saints back in the contest.
Yeah, it's that build-up of pressure, wasn't it? A couple of penalties. There's a needless penalty for a leg lift. They commit men in the air and they just get themselves a little bit high on this occasion. It's broken out nice and quickly. And it's that man again, Pickemole's with the offload. This time he just delays the pass. Look at this, beautiful piece of skill. Hold, strength. Just delay the pass enough for the scrum half to get over. Beautiful
that delay,
piece of
isn't
skill.
it, Lawrence? That delay just makes Billy Twelvetrees step beyond the ball. He goes beyond the pass and creates the gap. Wonderful piece of strength and skill from Pickemole.
Try that means both sides are now on 999 Premiership tries. First to 1,000 may well win this contest.
Look at this, Gibson there takes the ball. Pickemole recognises the space. I think we've seen that move last season, or 2 seasons ago with Manoa. Used to come in at the back there in the guard and then break out. One number 8 now playing his rugby in France, and this French number 8 playing his rugby up here at Northampton and making a big impact.
Gloucester beginning to make some more changes. Matu on for Richard Hibbard, who has thrown himself around to great effect tonight.
Use it!
Billy Burns replacing Mark Atkinson. Laidlaw away to Kvesic, one of the earlier replacements, running into Myler. The advantage is over. Morgan clearing out some boots for Laidlaw to go to work. 12 trees.
See the difference, the fresh legs make the carry from Kvesic. Oh, just forced the turnover. That's a crucial mistake there.
Yeah, just as a place.
Very much in the balance this game, 23-20. Keep swinging one way, then the other. Northampton now ahead.
Franz Bushak. Franz Bushak.
Nicely to Arla.
18. Crouch!
And George North
Bind!
has moved into midfield. Tuala on the wing.
Good scrum from Northampton.
Pickemole. This is Hutchinson.
Use it!
Right away by Kessel. Gathered in by Hook. Final 10 minutes of a match that remains very much in the balance. Savage away quickly, 6 from 12 trees. Morgan once more.
Looks like it's a penalty.
Penalty advantage.
Penalty advantage against Kessel.
Playing the 9.
Oh, it's a needless penalty to give away in that part of the field. Gloucester had just run out of options. Northampton were just getting the upper hand in terms of the phases. Silly penalty, especially at this stage.
Yeah, you know that you never got back behind the back foot. Just wonder whether Gloucester are going to have a shot at this or they're going to pop it in the corner.
No, Hook's going to go for it, isn't he? Long distance. We've seen he's probably got the range. Saw him warming up inside his own half. He kicked a few before the match. Not much wind here tonight at Franklin's Garden, so you'd expect him to have the range on this one.
James Hook is 3 points short of 200 in the Premiership, so if he can fire this over from another county, then it'll be a memorable one in more ways than one. Wow, no, not quite.
Saints, wait, 18!
Well, it's a shot to nothing, wasn't it? It was an ambitious kick in terms of its distance, had the accuracy, just not quite the legs, but Gloucester will retain the possession, line out.
I don't know if you used to play Daley Thompson decathlon when you were a kid. When you got the javelin, you had to have 45% on the throw.
Yeah.
That was just a little bit too high, about 60%.
Premiership point number 200 will have to wait a while. Jacob Rowan gathers the line.
As well rebuffed by Northampton. Gloucester got a lovely little shove on. They've just got to make sure they make this available. Don't let Northampton collapse it.
Leave it green!
Yeah, didn't support your body weight.
You're off your feet.
Again, that's probably another needless penalty to give away. Just wonder, on this one, it's more of an acute angle, it's closer. This one will probably go into the corner.
There'll be a line out on the 22.
You've gone straight off your feet.
This is one where Jacob Rowan goes down. You just need to drive over it. You can see Pickamol's there. He's got his hands on the floor, and when you're in that position, you're not supporting your body weight. Referee's going to give the penalty.
On the line.
You might have heard Dorian West talking to us before the match about how he can't remember the last time he had a solid night's sleep. Matches like this won't help in the search for 40 winks as Gloucester again go off in the search of points that might at least draw them level. 2 draws already in the Premiership so far this season, and then Burns and